Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to r/EntitledPeople, where in today's episode, you'll hear wild stories about people who truly believe the world revolves around them. And hey, I know I say this a lot, but guys, get ready to shake your heads because the stories are outrageous today. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and we're diving in. Yesterday, I went to Target to buy some clothes for myself. There was one item I was looking for, but couldn't find. Now, since my 18-year-old son works there, I figured it would be okay to look in one of the back rooms that was open. Incidentally, I ran into him while I was there, and he was pushing a cart that happened to have the item I was looking for. So I went ahead and grabbed it, but when I did, he yelled at me and demanded that I put it back and get out of the back room as customers aren't allowed back here. Now at that I refused because some of these items are for people who shop here, and he looked like he was bringing them out to stock on the shelves anyways. He then starts to throw a giant tantrum, screaming at me to get out and saying the item I took was reserved for someone's order. I then asked him who it was for, and he couldn't tell me, which leads me to think that he was lying because he was upset. He ended up calling over a supervisor, and after some more arguing, I eventually got kicked out of the store because I wanted to buy an item. My son is currently not willing to speak to me right now, so am I the a-hole? Honestly, guys, I don't even know why she posted this. Like, what was she expecting? Was she expecting people to say, No, you're not the a-hole, what you did was perfectly fine, and your son has no right to be mad at you? Like, OP definitely crossed the line, and of course he has right to be mad. One, because it's freaking embarrassing as all heck to have to explain to your supervisor why your own mom is in a staff-only zone snooping around. And two, because she refused to hear him out when he specifically said that item was reserved for someone else, thinking that since she's mom, she gets priority of the item. So I'm a 23-year-old female, and I'm engaged to my fiance, who's 27. I'm also the mother to my daughter, who's 4. Now, I wasn't able to go to university full-time since I was raising my daughter. However, I'm currently studying history online, where I'll hopefully become a history teacher. Balancing studying while raising my daughter hasn't been easy, however, but having my fiance supporting the family has really helped. We have enough money to live comfortably, but saving up money for our dream wedding would take years. My brother, who's 28 years old, works at a hospital as a doctor. His wife also works at the hospital as a doctor, so to say that they're well off would be an understatement. My brother hasn't had the same struggles of raising a child since they both don't want any children. Now, I don't mind the fact that they both don't have kids, but they've been able to save a lot of money due to this. So recently, I asked my brother if he would be able to help pay for my wedding, since having him contribute to my wedding would help make it a magical moment for me. My brother offered to give me $5,000 towards my wedding, which honestly surprised me. Now, I might be wrong here, but surely as a hospital doctor, my brother should be able to contribute more to my wedding. I told him I'd really appreciate it if he could give me $20,000 for my wedding, since it would really mean a lot, but he refused. Now, I'd be lying if I said I didn't make my annoyance with my brother clear. I told him that his refusal to help pay for my wedding is selfish, and if he doesn't help contribute to my wedding, then he won't be able to come, since it's not my fault I don't have a lot of money to fund my wedding. We had an argument afterwards, and I haven't been returning his calls since. The rest of my family's helping contribute to my wedding, which makes his refusal even worse. Despite my brother's actions, my father thinks that I'm being too harsh on my brother, that me not inviting him to my wedding would be upsetting for him. So am I missing something here? Yes you are, you're missing a friggin' brain. I'm just kidding, I wanted to say that. But seriously though, how entitled can you get? Your brother and his wife worked really hard to get where they are career-wise, and it's super entitled for you to think, oh, you guys are both doctors, you make so much money, you don't have kids, which means you have a lot of money, just give me $20,000, that's no big deal. I also can't believe that she had the nerve to guilt trip him saying, oh, if you don't give me $20,000, there might not even be a wedding to go to. Great sister. So I work at a small, independently owned outerwear store. The owner of the said store is a dog owner, and we actually have a store dog. Anyways, one generous thing we do is we always have a jar of dog biscuits to offer any dog-owning customers as a little extra treat. It's always cute to offer the dog some biscuits, and everyone's usually happy. But then there's Karen. Karen comes in frequently, doesn't buy anything, and she always waits for us to offer her a dog biscuit. Once she gets the said biscuit, she leaves the store. She never buys anything, never chats up staff, nothing. So on busy days, she sits in the outerwear section and she waits until one of us is free enough to get her a dog biscuit. Now I think this is dumb, but we play along with her game for the time being. That is, until a particularly busy day. As usual, Karen was sitting in the footwear section, waiting for her dog biscuit. After 10 minutes of waiting, she starts tapping her foot angrily, huffing and puffing while staring at any employee who walks by her. After another 10 minutes of this, as we were really swamped that day, she barks out to my coworker, "Hey, my dog is getting pretty hungry, and I'm starting to get pissed. Give me a biscuit." Now, my coworker, who's normally a very calm guy, wasn't having any of it. He barked back, "Yeah, well, I'm getting pretty pissed because we're busy and you always come to get free dog biscuits and you never ever buy a single thing here. So no more biscuits for you. Get out." Visibly shocked, Karen storms out of the store, and so far she hasn't returned. Serves her right. Guys, I can't believe she waited 20 minutes to get a single free dog biscuit. Like, you can literally buy a whole box of dog treats for like, what, $5? But hey, who am I kidding? Why spend your money when you can just demand things for free from others, right? So I'm browsing Facebook, and I notice a friend's sister had tagged me in a comment. Turns out, it's for a raffle at the local school charity, and she's bought a few tickets and wants others to buy them too. Fair enough. A few days later, I noticed that my feed is taken up with her making post after post about how she really wishes she could win the hot tub prize because it would really benefit her daughter. She's also saying how awful it is that she can't afford something like that and that nothing ever goes their way. Now, they have 2 cars, they have satellite TV, and they just had a wedding at a fancy country hotel, etc, etc. To me, these things are luxuries, not essentials. She lives in a modest house and her husband has a decent job, so she's not missing out on anything. So the day before the raffle is drawn, she makes a giant post about how she's really desperate to win the hot tub and how she doesn't know what she'll do if she doesn't win it. And she's implying everybody she knows to donate the hot tub to her should they win. The day of the raffle arrives, and lo and behold, she wins the hot tub. Rigged much? She then makes a long post about how grateful she is, and that the angels are looking down on her, and her daughter's gonna be so happy. But it's not as big as they want it to be. And the one she was looking at on the website is much better, and she really wishes it was that one instead. She implores her friends to ask the organizers to swap the hot tub for the better one. An organizer replies and says it was donated, and if she got in touch with the company, they might upgrade it for the difference in price. She then argues that as a mother of a disabled child, she can't afford it, and that she was hoping that the organizers could use some of their funds from the raffle to get the upgrade. They decline. A few months later, she makes a post that she has a hot tub for sale for X amount. The organizers of the raffle spot the post, and they comment that the hot tub didn't cost that much brand new, and they were disappointed that she was selling it after begging people to have it. She then justifies the price by saying she has a disabled child, and that they need the cash more and it's too big to keep on their property, and it's more of an inconvenience and they've never used it anyway. Someone offers her the price and they arrange a time for collection, and the buyer agrees. Now here's the ridiculous part. She then asks him if there's any way that he would just give her the money and let her keep the hot tub because it's vital to her disabled child's welfare that she have a hot tub. So this is where the post ends. No idea if that guy ever came and bought the hot tub from her. But with that said, is anybody else angry at the fact that the mom keeps bringing up her disabled child over and over and over again? Like, most parents would never even think to mention that their kid's disabled for any sort of sympathy. And this entitled behavior is absolutely disgusting. Like, shame on that woman. Okay, about midway last week when I came home from work, I noticed my shed door was open, and the padlock that I used to keep it shut was broken. I had a lot of bags full of soda cans in there. I and my friends tend to drink a lot of soda, so I've built up a lot of cans over the course of a year. I was gonna cash them in at the bottle drop soon because I like big payouts. It's 10 cents a can where I live. But there was more than just my bags of can missing from the shed too. They took my gardening shears, a steel rake, 2 shovels, a full 2-gallon gas can, a cheap power drill, an electric hedge trimmer, and a small electric chainsaw that was also used, and a machete. Now, they didn't touch the lawnmower, weed whacker, extension cords, or the old radio I had in there. No idea why they took what they did, but I guess they figured out they could resell them or something. I checked my camera footage, and there was my 3 nephews, ages 16, 15, and 14, breaking into my shed with one of their dad's large claw hammers. I recognized the hammer because it's bright yellow and black and their dad has a bunch of them. It only took them a few hits to smash that cheap lock. So after they broke into my shed, they took whatever they could by hand, and then they came back with some shopping carts, and I'm guessing they also stole. It took them a few trips to get all the cans, and they didn't even bother to try to close the door when they were done. My sister and brother-in-law first denied their kids stole anything from me, so I went to their house and showed them the security footage from my cameras. I'd not told them I had cameras installed, and the reason I had cameras put in was because of the prior thefts by my nephews. It started with food and snacks, and then moved on to DVDs and video games. Then pretty much anything they thought they could smuggle out after that. Anytime I made them return stuff they'd stolen from me, I was treated like the bad guy and got the fakest apologies I've ever heard. They never got in trouble from their parents either. So the final straw that happened last year was when my nephews broke into my house and stole 3 6-packs of my favorite blood orange beer from my fridge. They used my hidden spare key to get in, and they also took a huge dump in one of my bathrooms and didn't flush, and also peed all over the floor. And I'm pretty sure that was intentional. The beer they stole was hidden in one of their bedrooms when I confronted my sister and brother-in-law about my nephew stealing it. I was basically given an equivalent to boys will be boys when I wanted them punished, so I had the cameras put up and told no one, which was a smart move. When my sister and brother-in-law saw the camera footage of my nephew stealing from me, they seemed furious, but they were actually madder at the fact that their boy skipped school to steal from me. They'd spent all day making repeated trips to the bottle drop and cashing the cans by machine. The bottle drop also pays by machine, so they just kept bringing the cans in until they cashed them all. And then they bought video games and junk food with the money. Said money actually amounted to nearly $200. With that and the destroyed padlock, I told my sister and brother-in-law that they now owed me $200. They went from being angry at their kids to making excuses for them, and then being angry at me for wanting that money back when I know they have 3 kids and a mortgage. I said it was either that or I go to police and press charges. They then told me to get out, and I said they have 2 days to decide how they'll pay me back before I go to the cops. I got back everything else my nephew stole, machete and gas can included, though they'd already used the gas for something. Over the next couple of days, my sister and brother-in-law were blowing up my phone with a ton of messages, both verbal and text. At first, they were calling me heartless because it was right after the holidays and they have 3 kids and a mortgage. They then started to gaslight me, even threatening me. And all of this would go in a repeating cycle. My nephews chimed in from another cell phone and they were sending me a lot of messages of their own, which were more fake apologies and gaslighting. My eldest nephew even sent me a picture of himself holding a soda can and giving me the middle finger. So I guess they weren't taking my threats of going to the police seriously because family. When I last spoke with my sister and brother-in-law, they refused to negotiate any sort of method of repayment for what my nephews did, even when I suggested that they just sell the video games that were purchased with the money from the cans. They then had the audacity to say that I'd actually tempted my nephews by having the cans in my shed to begin with. Oh yes, I'm the devil snake that tempted my nephews with a shed full of cans that just screamed money, money, money. So that was it. I went to the police station that morning and filed the report. I gave the police a copy of the video footage of my nephew stealing from my shed. I gave them the broken lock they smashed, showed them all of the texts which were screenshotted and also given as evidence. Hell, I even gave them a copy of the photo that my eldest nephew sent me of him flipping me off. I did tell police that I found it worrisome that my nephews had taken the machete, but they classified it as a tool, especially since they took a lot of actual tools. So fair enough on that, I suppose. My nephews were arrested on Saturday. Police came to their house and my sister and brother-in-law were forced to let them in because they had a warrant. Apparently all 3 of my nephews went from being cocky little idiots to crying like babies when they were being put in handcuffs. I know this because a neighbor I'm acquainted with was there to see it. And shortly after the arrest, my sister and brother-in-law were blowing up my phone. They weren't able to get their kids out of jail until Monday morning. And now the boys are being charged with larceny, willful destruction of property, vandalism, and harassment. The police took the whole case pretty seriously, as there's been complaints about my nephew for some time, but nothing was proven until now. The past few months, bags of cans have actually been going missing all over the area. I don't know if it was my nephews or not, but they're likely the suspects. And with the word spreading of their arrest, let's hope other neighbors with security cameras come forward with more footage. My sister and brother-in-law showed up at my house too. I refused to open the door and told them that this all happened because they're enablers who refused to hold their kids accountable for their actions. That made them just scream and pound on my door until I threatened to call police on them too. And since I've done it already, they know I mean it now. So they left without any more trouble. But they went back to blowing up my phone. Now I didn't block my sister or brother-in-law. Instead, I decided to save all the messages they sent me because I've made the decision to take them to small claims court over this. I don't really need or want the money, and I've already replaced the destroyed padlock with a much better one. However, the kids aren't the only ones who need to be taught a lesson. In the end, I hope I put them in enough of a hole that they learn not to screw with me ever again. I also have the full support of my family on this. My parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. They're all supporting me in this because my nephews have stolen from them too. And after banning my nephews from my house, some of them did the same. I'm going to push for my nephews to get community service, and the reason why isn't just because it's a good idea, but also because I know they'll hate that the most. Whenever made to do any kind of work they don't want to do, they just stand around griping and act like the whole world is against them, so hardly anything ever gets done. Perhaps a few hundred hours of unpaid work will teach them some manners. They've been spoiled far too much. Honestly guys, OP did them a favor by calling police and teaching them that their actions have consequences regardless of what their parents say. Guys, I couldn't even fathom stealing from my aunts and uncles. Like, what kind of crappy nephews would break into family members' homes to steal things? So, the parent here is more idiotic than entitled, but his first sentence in the story makes him relevant for here. Let me know if there's a better sub for it. Thanks. So this happened a few years ago, in a parking lot of a mall that I was going to with my mom. It was mid-July and nearly 39 degrees Celsius. When we get out of the car, I saw movement at the corner of my eyes in the car behind us. At first, I thought it was a dog, and then I said to my mom, "What idiot leaves a dog inside a car when it's so hot?" When I looked again, I saw that it was a baby, a 1-year-old girl, sitting in the back. I then told my mom, but she thought I was kidding as I always mess around and tell stupid jokes and enjoy dark humor. So with that, I bolted inside the mall. I saw a security guard and informed him, with the number plate I'd memorized. The guy made a call through the speaker saying, "If you're not at your car in 2 minutes, say goodbye to your passenger car window." I then lead security to the car. My mom was following us, dumbfounded that this was actually true. We waited, waving at the girl who seemed conscious through tinted windows. And that's when a man arrived, yelling murder when he saw us. The guy screaming, "Stop, stop, that's my car. That's my daughter inside." The security guard says, "Yes, you moron. Your daughter's inside. Open the doors now." He unlocked the car and took the baby outside. The car was an oven. She was soaking wet, covered with sweat, and she starts crying the moment she felt relatively fresh air outside. The security guard guided us inside, gave a cup of room temperature water to drink for the baby. When he got the cup of water in his hands, the idiot had the audacity to drink the water first. My mom exploded, screaming at him to give it to his daughter. He didn't really seem to understand what was happening. He actually tried to go back to his half-full cards when the girl had finished her cup. The security guard stopped him by putting his hand on his shoulder. Security guard says, "Stay right there. My colleague is gonna take your baby, okay? Sit down. We're waiting for police and the ambulance to arrive. Stay calm and breathe. Your daughter's okay, but we have to make sure of what happened, okay?" And then we just left. We were just standing there, low-key hoping to see a security guard kick that guy's ass, and we were totally useless for the most part. So I gave my info to the security guard, and we went on our merry way. When we exited the mall after half an hour, the guy was gone, the daughter was gone, the car was still there, and the security guard waved us goodbye with a big smile. Now, we just assumed everything had gone well. I received a phone call 2 days later from the police. I was told and confirmed what happened, and learned that the guy was facing a fine, years in prison, and already lost the custody of his child. Man, OP is a freaking hero in this situation. Guys, if that was me, I don't even think I'd run to get security. If I saw a baby in a car seat, I'd smash that car window ASAP. Especially when it's 39 friggin' degrees Celsius. That's 102 degrees, guys. What an idiot, and I'm glad he lost custody of his kid. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our / entitled people. Guys, if you enjoyed the stories today, do hit that thumbs up. And if you missed yesterday's episode on the channel, a smug boss dares OP to sue him and then laughs in his face. And then he gets taken to court. Check it out if you guys haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.